Today I'm here to talk about my startup. I do startups. This is my startup, and this is the one that I want to talk to you about. So, what is a startup? This is my definition. It's a human institution designed to work under extreme uncertainty, to keep failing, and yet to try all over again. So, that's the definition that I understand of a startup. Our thumb rule when we work with a startup is you always have half the time to do something. You have a third of the budget, and you're trying to outdo your nearest competitor by a factor of 2 minimum. That's kind of where you start. Otherwise, it's not lofty enough. So it's constrained. It's always constrained. Time is constrained. Budget is constrained, and you're always trying to aim for something which is going to be at least twice your nearest competitor. A bit of a history. My history here. I've been doing startups for 12 years. I've done 5 of these. I've tried to sell shoes to storage virtualization. I've tried to do all of this. I've been there. I wish I could say I've done that entirely. Not really. Every time that you try and do such a thing, you are asked these questions by potential partners, employees, investors. So the questions are, what's your unfair business advantage? What's the return on investment? What makes you think you can do this? What's your industry experience? And pretty much the response ends up being, sorry, your responses are not exciting enough. What you're doing doesn't seem to add up. Well, yeah. So then this competition happened. I found out about it. I had an opportunity to learn more about what it calls for. It's inviting private startups from all across the world to come out and do something really daring. Having not succeeded trying to run 5 startups before this, I wasn't very sure whether that's something that I should get into. But so what's the competition about? The competition is called as the Google Lunar X Prize. It's got 2 rules. The first rule states land on the moon before 31st December 2015, move 500 meters. And the second rule is you have to be 90% privately funded. So this is for privately funded teams, not a competition between governments. If you do that, Google is a sponsor. It sponsors a prize purse worth $30 million. That's broken up into first prize, second prize, and some bonus prizes. And that's how we describe it, to go where no private enterprise has ever gone before. Sounds familiar. Oh, great. So we went back to the same set of people and said, you know what, now we're doing something which looks like there are huge entry barriers, nobody else can do it. That's my unfair business advantage. We're going to be rock stars, and that's where you get your return of investment. And guess what? This is space. So this is not about market dynamics. This is space. This is plain physics. This is about the Newton's laws, which have been there for so many hundred of years, and the same ones apply now. NASA did it 40 years ago. We're going to do it now. Well, what was the response? The response was the same. Sorry, this does not seem like your business. What are you doing here? This is incredibly ridiculous. Well, anyway, so we said, now that we find ourselves here, let's create new rules. Those are new rules. So we're going to take half the time. A typical government mission trying to land on the moon would be 8 to 10 years. I mean, that's how you would plan such a mission. It would start at about $100 million. That's a minimum that it would cost. And then, of course, every space agency everywhere across the world asks for its annual budget on the basis of scientific outreach. That's the reason for budgets to space exploration all across the world. And then, yeah, so they have a reach, and we said, let's see by what factor we can beat the reach, and we said 20x. So if 10 lakh people in India knew about Chandrayaan 1, 10 lakh people. So we said we probably going to do something which is going to reach out to 2 crore people. So that's a 20x. Planning and strategy. How do you start planning this? So all this is with us, with our heads down on the back of our envelope, saying how do you even start to plan such a thing? So you start with making it simple. You break the problem down, you simplify it. So you say, let's just go for the core objectives. They want a machine to land on the moon. Let's not design something or even think of designing something which can also carry a SUV or a truck to go along with it. Let's keep it really, really short, and let's keep it really, really simple. Let's not reinvent the wheel. This has been done before. It might have been done by the governments. It might have been done by the developed countries. It's been done before. There's a lot of information in the open source. Let's go ahead and see how that works. Go local where possible. So let's not spend on flight tickets. Let's not go expert hunting across the globe, looking for suppliers across the globe. Let's do something which is available locally. What are the outcome of those design philosophy? The outcome of the design philosophy is there are certain things that impact aerospace costs. So aircraft always has to be really, really light. So a spacecraft has to be even lighter. So a typical Chandrayaan-1 was 2 tons, that's 2,000 kgs. So let's go 1/10. So we literally put a control there saying we will not exceed 200 kgs. The payload, which is what is going to land and move around on the surface of the moon, that's called lunar payload. We said, you know what, let's keep that low as well. So a government mission would try and land about 200 kgs worth of scientific equipment. We said we're going to land about 25. 1/10 is the mission life. So the planned life for us is a few weeks as opposed to a year or multiple years for a government mission, and least mission complexity. So we'll not try and do exotic stuff. So if we're aiming for the moon and we miss it, we're not going to go around the Mars and try landing again. Some of the NASA missions can do that. That's pretty amazing engineering. We're not aiming for that. Now we've been with this for 2 years. With our heads down, we have 4 or 5 advisors from ISRO who support us. We are 5 founders from various backgrounds. I'm one of them. We have 10 full-time engineers, really sharp, really bright guys. Some of them quit full-time jobs to come work for us, which was pretty amazing. 2 dozen collaborators. So these are people who collaborate, contribute when they can, if they can. And of course, Facebook. Without social media, we wouldn't be anywhere. So 15,000 followers on Facebook, huge, huge plus for us. Where do we see us taking this? We believe this is the tip of the iceberg. We believe what we're doing here can literally unleash a new industry vertical in our country. So when the IT revolution happened, we have these top 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 companies which employ anything between 100,000 to 200,000 people. But the IT sector is so big because you have 500,000 companies which employ 5 people each. So you create an ecosystem or you create an industry by having the small guys chip in, having the small guys do stuff. Maybe one of those will go on to create something really, really big. So our mission, it's understandably of the people, by the people, for the people. So it is a startup, it's a small private company which is going to attempt to do that, but we believe if we manage to do it, it's going to be something which is going to be a matter of pride for the entire nation. So that's us giving it back to the nation. I'm going to cut out into a short video to explain what I'm talking about. So we're not building a rocket, so I hope I didn't try and suggest any of that. We are building what is called as a lunar rover, so that's a small impression of that. This goes inside what is called as a lunar lander, so the device which will land on the moon. Goes on top of some rocket boosters. Goes inside what is called as a nose cone of a rocket. That's the 4th stage. Goes on top of the 3rd stage, 2nd stage, 1st stage. So those are the 4 stages of a rocket. We're modeling this on PSLV, which is our local launch provider. How does a rocket go to the moon? It starts from Earth. It takes off from Earth very close to mean sea level, climbs to a height of about 800 kilometers and goes into what is called as a low Earth orbit. It's a steady orbit. If I left an object there at a particular velocity, it'll keep going around the Earth forever. So that's us going around the Earth. We want to go to the moon, so what we're going to do is we're going to start firing our thrusters here, so that we fire once. When we fire the first time, our orbit becomes oblique and it becomes longer. When we fire the second time, our orbit is so large that the moon is at the apogee, the other end of the ellipse. So that's us going towards the moon. As we approach the moon, what is going to happen is the velocity of the craft is going to be really, really large. So you're going to have to slow yourself down. There is no air, you can't use parachutes, you can't use airbags. So you fire a rocket engine to slow yourself down. You look at the ground to figure out what's a good place to land. You slow down, you touch down on the surface of the moon, do a post-landing verification, deploy your payload, which in this case is a lunar rover, talk back to Earth saying, here's my scientific data, here's my engineering data, here's where I've landed. And if we do this before the other teams, maybe we go on to win the Google Lunar X Prize. So that's the rover coming out and then deploying itself. So we'll cut back to the presentation. So that was how we intend to do it. So that's a simulation of how we intend to do it. Here's how we went about it. So it always starts with a sketch. It always starts with an idea. Then you get more sketches and you try and sketch more of how you're going to do, what you're going to do, where you're going to do. Then you get into animation. You just saw that animation. Then you get into a little bit of simulation. This is rendered in SolidWorks. So this is how it will look when it is built. And this is a small little thing which is built out of a garage in Noida. This is to true size, and of course the equipment needs to go into it. We need to complete the design and all of that along with this. We still have a long way to go, but after 2 years of having tried, failed, tried again, failed, tried, now we have one of India's largest, I'm not going to take names, so we're just going to describe these. So one of India's largest government aerospace labs who's interested in working with us. One of India's largest private aerospace companies has been following us, and they have offered to support this mission in some manner or the other. We yet to get to MOU. One of the leading IITs, original 5 leading IITs, has offered to work with us to make this happen. We have a growing community of advisors. So when we started with just 2 advisors, and now it's grown far beyond that. And we met ISRO and asked them whether we can fly on their rocket. They think that's not a bad idea. They're saying we just might have a shot at this. So let me leave you with my learning. So I tried, and I kept trying. But then this one is now, I'm 2 years into it. It seems to have worked slightly better than the other ones. We still have a long way to go. But here's my learning. Forget the bigger picture. If every day in the morning I got up thinking I'm going to land on the moon, I don't think that's going to happen. So forget the bigger picture. Just look at the next objective. Just look at the next week, next quarter. You do a bigger picture planning, high level, philosophical, great, but just don't get daunted by the overall picture. Look at the next week or the next month or the next quarter. Don't give up. We believe the reason that our team is where it is because it was the right kind of crazy at the right time, at the right place. So if you give up, you never know, you will never get to the right place, and you'll never be there at the right time. And then of course, don't look up too often. So had we kept looking for feedback, and we did that when we started, we kept looking for feedback, we kept asking people how to do this, whether this is right, whether this is going in the right direction. You know what, that doesn't always help you. So put your head down, ram your way through, get to the next milestone, plan the milestone after that, and go from there. You cannot keep looking up all the time. So that's it from me today. Our team is called Team Indus. Go look us up on Facebook, and we'll be happy for your support. Thank you.